What's going on, it's Budget here, and welcome back to another episode of South Stand Signings, the series, of course, where we go through everything happening in and around the world of Leeds United, and we sit here and we have a little talk about it. We discuss, is it fact, is it fiction, is it gonna happen, would you like it to happen? But let's not waste any more time with this riffraff. Let's get straight into the meat of the action. And the first story is surrounding potential departures. This man, Mr. Jack Harrison, who has been on the lips of every Leeds United fan. A lot of you want him gone, and I don't blame you with the way things have gone. Now, speaking of interest from Everton and Burnley this week, David Moyes was reportedly keen on bringing Jack Harrison back to the club after his impressive spell in the tail end of last season. I don't know what he's talking about there. He got one goal all year, but we move. The YEP have recently hinted that there is a possibility that Harrison goes out on loan again this summer. If any club are to sign him on a permanent deal, it would have to be for a fee of around £10 million. And not a lot of clubs that have registered interest are really willing to pay that much money for him. And if Leeds were to get around even £3 million, it would give us a significant PSR boost, which would help us reinvest elsewhere on Paixão or any other players that we could be talking about in the future. Graham Smith from the YEP has touched on this, saying he's back. He's a Leeds United player. Like all Leeds players, he's expected to train, but there was never any suggestion that he was going to report back. I think a lot of you do want to see him go, but my question to you through this story is, would you be happy to see Jack Harrison go on a loan deal, or do you think you want to get him done permanently, even if it means cutting down the fee of around £5 million? Let me know what you guys think. Do you just want to see the back of him, or do you want to hold out until we can get a good permanent offer for him? Now, the next story surrounds a man we are very, very excited to potentially see lining up at Ellen Road next year. It is, of course, Anton Stach, and there are a few updates emerging today. Despite the fairly smooth process of the 26-year-old's negotiations with Leeds, of course, it was reported earlier on in the week that he had agreed personal terms with the club, there appears to be some tricky deals in the woodwork. Now, why is that? Because we've seen with a lot of the deals Leeds United have got done, we've moved in silence. However, this one has been a very, very public deal for a long time now, which is allowing Hoffenheim to increase that price, be very tricky in negotiations, which isn't really how the 49ers like to operate. There was a story coming out yesterday surrounding them potentially getting a replacement. Wilfred Ndidi is likely to potentially be a Bundesliga-bound player rather than the Premier League. Rob Dorset came out saying, "I'm told Mainz, Hoffenheim and other German clubs are interested," and that could be a potential sweetener in allowing Anton Stach to move over to Leeds United. Now, Leeds United have obviously been informed that we would have to pay around €20 million to land the midfielder, and those negotiations seem to have hit a little bit of a stumbling block here, because according to a Sport via X, Turkish giants Besiktas have entered the race and are now conducting cost investigations into a move for Anton Stach. Leeds now have to decide how highly they value Anton Stach because of the difficult negotiations we're finding ourselves in finding a price. It could open the door for Besiktas to slap that extra €5 million on the table that Leeds aren't willing to do, and that's what we're talking about. With this being so public, you don't know how much efficacy is even in this story with Besiktas. It could be very, very true that they are seriously looking at Anton Stach. It could also be either Anton Stach's agent or people from within Hoffenheim or German media throwing these stories out to put pressure on Leeds to increase that value for Anton Stach, which is why the 49ers are a little bit, I don't know, hesitant, it seems, from all reports that I'm reading, to put that extra money on the table for Anton Stach. But we will let you know if any more updates emerge on this one. Now, another midfielder, of course, Leeds are very, very likely to see signing is Sean Longstaff. And he did come out with a few quotes about his Newcastle United future. "In a way, I live day to day, game to game, and I just try to take in every game. I get to go to work every day and spend it with my best friends. I don't know what's coming ahead. I don't know what's coming down the line. I just try to embrace every day and enjoy every minute, because ultimately it won't last forever. If it's here, it's great. If it's not, it's not. I want to be valued as a player. I want to be appreciated as a player, and whether it's here, great. If it's not here, somewhere else, it'll be somewhere else." Great mentality. I spoke a little bit before about the fact that he actually wanted Newcastle to make some money off his off selling him rather than going out for free. So I think he's got really, really great scruples and fundamentals and would fit in perfectly from a personality perspective, not only under Daniel Farke, but of course at Leeds United. But this isn't the update in terms of seeing him in that Leeds United shirt that you guys are all craving. So we will swiftly move on from this one. And we are swiftly moving on to a bit of a surprising one that a lot of us woke up to this morning. Baron Cross recently came out and said Leeds United had previously asked Getafe about Christian Uche a few weeks ago. He has a €25 million release clause. The talks are not advanced, but it is definitely one they have checked on. He also reported that Betis had offered a loan deal for Mateo Joseph, which had been rejected as Leeds United insists that he is not for sale. Before we do get on Christian Uche, Mateo Joseph, for me, I think a loan deal would be very, very good. I don't see him actually getting a lot of game time in the Premier League this year. What would you guys say? Would you want to loan Joseph out? Would you want to try and sell him, get as much money as you can? I still think he does have scope to develop into a really, really top player, and he might be one of those guys that actually features better against higher level opposition, as we spoke about with Wilfred Gnonto many times. It's yet to see how he would step up to the Premier League. Obviously, his performances last year in the Championship weren't quite to the standard we all expected, but let me know what you guys would want to do with Mateo Joseph. Now, speaking of Christian Uche, there is a little bit more information to delve into. Getafe sources speaking anonymously to protect relationships confirmed that the player has a release clause of €25 million, and it seems that he is keen to join a Premier League outfit. A Premier League outfit, not Leeds United specifically, but a Premier League outfit. Sources also say there is interest in Uche from Serie A, but a project like United's would appeal much more to the Nigerian, United's being, of course, Leeds United. We'll have to wait and see how that unfolds, but before we do, let's have a little look at Christian Uche, in case a few of you are not familiar with his performances last year. So he featured 18 times this season from the central forward position, 3 times in a second striker position, 13 times in the central attacking midfield position, once from the left wing and once from the left midfield position. While playing as centre forward, he registered 3 goals and 3 assists, and whilst playing in the central attacking midfield role, he only registered a solitary 3 assists in those games. Now, not necessarily the most exciting output, and again, it's one for me that I'm not sure makes a lot of sense, because if we are actually going to go in big with his €25 million release clause for a number 10, I think we need an out-and-out creator, not someone who can play across the front line, not someone who can fill in at striker, not someone who can play a little bit in central attacking midfield. I want to see someone who is playing predominantly in that number 10 role. I don't even care about their goal output. I want someone who is just racking off assist after assist after assist, someone who can slow the pace of the game down, someone who can ping great passes across, and for me, Uche does not fit that category of player. However, as we said, if we are looking at potential formation changes, this could be why Uche is someone that Leeds United have looked at in the past, but again, it's one that I see very, very unlikely that Leeds United will get done. But let me know what you guys think. Are you excited by these stories or are you not? Now, another story, a little bit of a faint rumour mill kind of esque story here, is that Neil El Anui looks to sign for Italian giants AS Roma. There were reports mooted of Sunderland really going in for him, and apparently they were one of several clubs who were linked with the midfielder. French title Foot Mercato suggested that Leeds United, amongst Juventus, AC Milan and Roma, were all very interested. However, I don't really see strong links from Leeds United to El Anui. It is just one of those faint stories that has come out, and it is one that, if you did hear a little bit about it, it is now off the table, it seems. Now, another story that has been doing the rounds a little bit today is coming by way of Graham Smith. Graham Smith reported earlier that there is some interest in Illan Meslier starting to pick up. Don't believe it's reached a firm offer stage yet though. Leeds obviously looking for a keeper and making progress on that front, we believe. So writing might very well be on the wall for Illan Meslier. And then he also put in a little RE here regarding Stach. Leeds United still working on it. Now, it has been a little bit quiet around Illan Illan Meslier, which I'm a little bit surprised about because everyone seemed confirmed that he was going here, he was going there, he was going to France, he was going etc. But there hasn't been a lot of great updates over the past few weeks, and there hasn't been a lot of great updates around who Leeds United are trying to get for a goalkeeper position. And I think we are waiting to see if there is strong enough interest in Illan Meslier before we actually invest in a goalkeeper, which is why I think we are in a little bit of a stumbling block right now, because we don't know if Meslier is going to go, how much he's going to go for. It is one of those ones that is happening behind closed doors, so we are just going to have to wait with bated breath a little bit. And I think maybe in a couple of weeks, if you see interest pick up in Meslier, as Graham Smith is reporting here, then you might see Leeds push a little bit stronger for a goalkeeper. But let me know your thoughts on that one. Are you resigned to losing Meslier, or do you still think there is an outside chance that Meslier could be lining up as Leeds United's #1 in the Premier League? Finally, a little update on Igor Paixão in the pursuit. Leeds United, of course, were reported around £30 million fee to sign the Brazilian under-23 international player, winger, goal scorer, assist maker, chance creator, devastating man with all the charm to cause all the harm and the biggest arms in West Lynn, Oregon. But there is a little bit of a stumbling block here because Leeds United don't seem too keen on hitting that £30 million valuation. And it is something that was a little bit confusing for me personally when you talk about how much money Leeds had to splash in the transfer window this summer. It was looking like after the Longstaff and potential Anton Stach deal, we might only have £40 million to spend on a striker, a number 10, a goalkeeper, and potentially a winger if we were to get one. So £30 million odd dropping on Paixão does kind of stop us from being able to invest big in a striker. But apparently negotiations are still underway. And because it has gone a little bit quieter today, that could be positive signs. Because as we spoke about earlier with Anton Stach, the 49ers like to move behind closed doors. They like to negotiate and get these deals done without too much public interest on it. So it could be good news. It could be bad news that it's gone a little bit quieter. I'm looking for more of the positive slant that Leeds are actually really knuckling down in negotiations, hence why things have gone a little bit quieter. But again, it is one that is still an outside shot of getting done, but it is positive signs for me, and I do feel slightly optimistic. I know he's not confirmed a Leeds player, but I do feel slightly optimistic that we might get this one done. But of course, as always, let me know what you guys think about that down below. And just finally for today, there was a very, very faint story that apparently Everton and Leeds United are still moving in the background for a star attacker named Mr. Timothy Weah. Leeds United and Everton are reported to be currently in the background and still interested in snapping up the Juventus man. But he would not play ball on joining Nottingham Forest, even though a deal was agreed. We spoke about that before, where they tried to use him as a sweetener in part of a double swap deal. He kind of vetoed that one. So there is still chance of him joining the Premier League. However, again, it is one that seems to have come out of nowhere. But let me know what you guys think about all these moves down in the comments section down below. Which one are you most excited by? Which one do you think Leeds have the most ability to get? For me personally, the one I'm most excited by this week is, of course, Igor Paixão. Porque claro que Igor Paixão es perfecto para Leeds United. Paixão jugar con muchas stickers y me gustaría Igor Paixão para Leeds United. But let me know what you guys think about all of these moves down in the comment section down below. As I said, can't wait to see some of you guys on Sunday. But for now, though, I will see you very, very soon. Au revoir, my brothers and my sisters.